Black Social TV it is. Then it's the business right here. Do click subscribe. Yeah, we're on a low tone because it's a breaking story. It's a sad one as we've lost a one Diahann Carroll, known as an actress who broke barriers with Julia. Well, she dies at the age of 84. This is the right time to get down to the commentary section. Just in case you did not know Diahann Carroll, the time is now. This beauty black woman is now gone on this 4th day of October 2019. Just 2 months to get into 2020. July 17th, 1935. She pulls her last breath this very day of October 4th, 2019. In addition to being a sitcom pioneer, she sang on television, in nightclubs, on recordings, and on Broadway, where she did not only do that but won a Tony Award. Diahann Carroll, who more than half a century ago transcended racial barriers as the star of Julia. Talking about Julia is the first American television series to chronicle the life of black professional women. Now, Diahann died on Friday at her home in West Hollywood, California. Just like I've already told you, she dies at the age of 84. Now, the people who know her very well say that the cause of the death was due to the complications of breast cancer. Miss Carroll survived the cancer in the 1990s and became a public advocate for screening and treatment. A situation comedy broadcast on NBC from the year 1968 to 1971. Julia starred Miss Carroll's Julia Baker. In this movie, she was a widowed nurse with a young son. The show featured the one Mark Coppage as Julia's son and the one Lloyd Nolan, but broad-minded doctor for whom she worked. In this movie, we remember some of the lines like, "Have you always been a Negro, or are you just trying to be fashionable?" He asks Julia in an audacious, widely quoted line from the first episode. Hope it's right there on YouTube. You can also check it out now. Popular with both black and white viewers, Julia in its first season reached number 7 in the Nielsen ratings, the highest position it attained in its 3 seasons on air. Reviewing the show in the New York Times, Jack Gold noted that its penchant, then powerful Hollywood's cause for tiptoeing around anything too controversial. However, he also added that at all events, the breaking of the color line in TV stardom on a regular weekly basis should be salutary. In other words, should be respected. Now, getting back to Miss Carroll, widely known for her elegant beauty and glamour, she began her professional life as a singer and continued to ply that art. Now, Miss Carroll sang on television, in nightclubs, on Broadway, and also when you talk about the films, she starred opposite the likes of Sidney Poitier, Paul Newman, James Earl Jones, and Michael Caine. Talking about her life on television, she played the scheming Money Dominican on the ABC's primetime soap opera Dynasty in the 1980s. But it was for Julia that she remained most known. We cannot talk about Julia without talking about the writers, the directors. In this case, the one producer, Hal Cantor. As for the show, was a novelty for its day. We cannot talk about Diahann Carroll without talking about black women when they were seen at all in series television. They had long been relegated to marginal roles. The few larger parts that came their way were those of domestics. Still, to continue with Julia, that divided critical consensus. It was praised in some quarters as groundbreaking, and also, you all know when something is up there onto the top, it's criticized, and for this case, in others, as reductive, accommodationist. It was condemned, in short, for glossing over the stark realities of life that black Americans faced on a daily. Even though Miss Carroll publicly defended Julia, she acknowledged that in portraying the black experience, it made many occasions to that case. Many occasions. When I say occasions, we mean the experience it made. To the middle class white viewers, it hoped to attract. Miss Carroll also said after that her experience playing the character had been both a professional born and a professional hindrance. The series made her one of the most visible performers of her day. She was booked regularly on TV and also variety shows. But in addition, it entailed her becoming a de facto spokeswoman not only for Julia, but also seemingly for her race. In this case, an honor for which she never bargained. Carroll Diahann Johnson was born in Bronx on July 17th, 1935, to John and Mabel Johnson, and grew up in Harlem. Her mother was a nurse, her father a New York City subway conductor. Though Miss Carroll sometimes stated publicly that her middle name was originally spelled Diahann, she confirmed through her publicist in 2017 that she had adopted that spelling as a teenager when she began entering TV talent competitions. Let's talk about the late Carroll as a singer. In this case, a gifted singer. Being a child, she was performing with the children's choir of Abyssinian Baptist Church in Harlem. By the time She was only 6 years of age. She was soon taking lessons in voice and piano, though she objected that they took precious time from roller skating. When we talk about her childhood, we cannot miss talking about the late Carroll as a student at the High School of Music and Art in Manhattan. She began modeling for Ebony magazine. She also began entering television contests, including Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts, under the name Diahann Carroll. In the early 1950s, while still in her teens, she won Chance of a Lifetime. In this case, a television talent competition through which running. Her prize was $1,000 a week, plus an engagement to the Latin Quarter, the Manhattan nightclub. Because her parents insisted on a college education, Miss Diahann enrolled in New York University, but she left before graduating to pursue a show business career, promising her family that if the career did not materialize after 2 years, she would return to college, of which she never did. Going forward into the year 1954, she was only 19 years of age. Miss Carroll was cast in a small part in The Carmen Jones, the film that starred one Harry Belafonte and the title role Dorothy Dandridge. That year, she also made a Broadway debut in the role of Ottilie, also known as Violet, in The House of Flowers. The Truman Capote Harold Harlan, that is a musical set in the West Indies, Bondello. Captivated by her performance, the Broadway composer Richard Rodgers was determined to use Miss Carroll in one of his own shows. He tried to cast her in the Flower Drum Song, his 1958 musical with Oscar Hammerstein II, but whatever makeup she was put into, she could not be got to look like any of the Chinese Americans on whom the show centered, and it opened without her. Miss Carroll also played Clara. In this film, she was the fisherman's wife. In the 1959 screen adaptation of Porgy and Bess, she was seen as the opera by the Georgian era Gershwin and the debuts Hayward. But because the film's music supervisor, that is the one Andre Previn back then, deemed the voice too low, her singing, including the emblematic number Summertime, was dubbed by the soprano Lowly Jean Norman. Ladies and gentlemen, just in case you're listening to me, the world lost Diahann Carroll October 4th, 2019 at the age of 84 through complications of breast cancer. Today, I narrate the life story of Miss Carroll. Now, she met with particular acclaim in early 1962 when she at least starred in a musical by Rodgers dubbed No Strings. No Strings was written expressly just for her. He composed both music and lyrics. It was his first show after the death in 1960 of her Mustang. In it, Miss Carroll portrayed an American fashion model living in Paris who embarks on a romance with an American novelist played by Richard Cayley. That the romance was interracial and was largely incidental to the plot. Now, the performance won a Tony Award for the Best Actress in a Musical. Now, guess what? The next few years brought a few guest roles on television shows, but jobs remained far between. I quote some of the words here. "I'm living proof of the horror of discrimination," Miss Carroll said in late 1962, testifying at a congregational hearing on racial bias in the entertainment industry. Now, in 8 years, I have had just 2 Broadway plays and 2 dramatic television shows. She added, "I have asked repeatedly why. Surely I'm not so difficult to include." Then along came Julia. Miss Carroll's portrayal of Julia Baker was generally praised for its poise and warmth. For the role, she received an Emmy nomination and won a Golden Globe Award. But the show as a whole was criticized on several fronts. One was the fact that Julia's elegant apartment, magnificent wardrobe, and saintly, unruffled temperament was surely unrepresentative of the life of any single working mother of a young child. Now, guess what? More serious charges concerned issues of race. Though the show scripts dealt with various slights of racism or discrimination, as it was called back then, in a gentle, you could say, a gentle manner, as many critics felt that Julia painted a far rosier picture of American racial amity that actually existed in the year 1968. As I was doing my research, there was an interview with a TV guide in December in which he had addressed the portrayal of black characters on television. Miss Carroll acknowledged, "At the moment, we are presenting the white Negro, and he has very little Negroness." In a first-person article in Ladies' Home Journal in 1970, Molly Evers, the widow of the slain civil rights leader Medgar Evers, summed up the contradictions inherent in Julia. Of course, Julia bears little resemblance to me or any other flesh and blood woman, Miss Evers wrote. She is a television fantasy like so many others. The significant difference is that Julia Baker is black. She continued, perhaps the most significant thing about Julia is that it is carried by many stations in the South. My relatives in Vicksburg watch it every week. Not so long ago, as I can testify, the appearance of the blackface on a network program was a signal in Mississippi for the set to go dark. Then a sign would appear, circumstances beyond our control. Getting back to Miss Carroll, who went on to play a woman very different from Julia in the 1974 film Claudine. In this case, a drama also starring Mr. Jones. For her portrayal of the title character, a single mother of 6 in Harlem, she received an Academy Award nomination. Talking about her other films, these included Paris Blues, acted in 1961. Mr. Perringa, Harry's Sundown, a movie of the 1967. The Split, a movie of the 1968, based on a novel by Donald E. Westlake. Her television credits include the miniseries Roots, The Next Generation, that is the year 1979, and the TV movies I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, still the same year 1979, an adaptation of Maya Angelou's Memo, in which she portrayed Miss Angelou's mother, and Having Our Say, the Delany sisters' first 100 years, the movie of the 1999, in which she played the indomitable Harlem centenarian Sadie Delany opposite Ruby Dee. Getting back to Miss Carroll, who had recurring roles on several television series, including A Different World, Grey's Anatomy, and White Collar. On stage in the 1990s, she was Norma Desmond in the Canadian company of Andrew Lloyd Webber musical Sunset Boulevard. In this case, the first African American to play the role. Miss Carroll's first marriage that we're talking about right now. She was married to Mount Kay, a casting director and music impresario, and ended in divorce, as did her second to Fred Luzman, a Las Vegas boutique owner. Now, her third husband, Robert DeLeon, the managing editor of Jet magazine, died in a car crash in the year 1977, 2 years after they had gotten married. Her fourth marriage to the singer Vic Damone ended also in divorce, of which, in this case, Damone Vic died last year, 2018. Now, she also had highly public engagements to Mr. Poitier and the English television journalist David Frost. She is survived by a daughter from her first marriage, Suzanne Kay, a sister Lydia, and 2 grandchildren. Diahann was the author of 2 memoirs, that is Diahann, that came out in the 1986 with Rose Firestone, and The Legs Are the Last to Go, the book of the year 2008 with Bob Morris. Let's talk about the respect of Miss Carroll. Miss Carroll said she was once a victim of her best-known show success after she became widely associated with the motherly Julia Baker. Her nightclub bookings as a glamorous chanter in slit up to their evening gowns dried up for some years. In Mirror Image, Miss Carroll's glamour had nearly cost her the role of Julia in the first place. Keenly aware of her glimmering image, Mr. Cantor, the show's creator, was reluctant to consider her for the debut of Julia Baker. Knowing of his reservations, Miss Carroll arrived for their first meeting at the Beverly Hills Hotel, wearing a very plain dress. Granted, it was a Givenchy, but it had simple, modest lines. When she entered the hotel, Miss Cantor did not recognize her, but he pointed to her anyway. I quote, "That's the look I want for this character," she later learned he had said to a colleague, a well-dressed housewife, just like that woman. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Diahann Carroll, born July 17th, 1935, died October 4th, 2019. As we all say in the comment section below, we only celebrate a life, but we have to say, rest in peace. Thanks for watching Black Social TV. I'm Dennis the Business. Do click subscribe and click the bell for the next updates. I'm out.